Hello, everybody. Here's StreamYard. We're going to try. I'm on a few minutes early, so this is just the pre-show time wasting. I'd love for anybody who's logged on or logging on here in a minute to give me some feedback on the sound. So this is my first time trying StreamYard. We had failure on Facebook and on YouTube. Different failures. This is StreamYard and it's kind of expensive, so I'm on the free trial right now. Which if it works, great. But and supposedly I am live streaming in 4 different places right now at the same time. So I see John Dotson on there. The interface here, at least the chat window seems to work, and it tells me where you came from. So I have a whiskey here today. Why am I yelling? I don't need to yell. I have a whiskey. And see it right there. Only this is the newer version. That is the old version. This is the hand-wired version that we never really sold. I've got a bunch of them. We decided to go printed circuit board with that. I was sort of convinced, is the nice way to say it, that we should go printed circuit board on there. And I like this one. And we have 4 of these, I think, to sell. So. And it's in the traditional 65 amps, black and red. Black and red. Black and tan. So if you guys remember, I'll wait till we actually start talking about the whiskey. We got a couple minutes. So I'm just playing a low output Les Paul. Very low output Les Paul. These pickups are like under 7K. I like the sound of that better, personally, myself. So you hear a lot of detail with a lower. Hey, you made it. Tell me how the sound is. Is it crapping out and phasing? So this is my old friendly Les Paul that you guys know with Ron Ellis's low output pickups in them. Hi, Randy. Hey, Canute. No chat options. Ah, crap. Well, it's hard to get this all together. I guess I'm going to use Facebook as just a reference over here. I think it's on my YouTube. My YouTube channel also. Good here in the hill. So it's not cutting out like it was before and getting all weak and phasey sounding. When I listen to the recordings of stuff, good. Great, good feedback here. Thank you, Craig. Canute, go to my YouTube channel or whatever you're on right now. Yeah, it looks like you're on YouTube. So I'm seeing comments from YouTube and Facebook. Sounds fine on YouTube. All right, good. Remember how it was going out before? Sounded like I had a flanger pedal on. and then the sound would just come and go. And I know it's not my internet, and I know it's not my equipment, so it's got to be on their end. So it sounds good, huh? Let's see if I can get a little fatter. So anyway, it is actually after 12. So hey, welcome everybody. We got a good crowd going so far. It's good. And I've got the whiskey here, which is for sale. Wish I could somehow get it up on camera, but my little rack doesn't work. You can see what it looks like. It's the original whiskey that's in the traditional black and tan. This is a hand-wired whiskey. This is not a printed circuit board like the ones we sold when we were doing our license deal. And these are hand-wired ones, which I think sound great. Believe it or not, this is 6L6s. This is not EL34s, and it sounds like EL34s, right? And I'm just going through the UA aux box through their model of a Marshall 412 with a 57 and a Royer 129. It's a little Elvis size. That's right, Randy. And then the clean channel on this is actually the same circuit as little Elvis's clean sound. Just on 6L6s, so it stays really clean. And let's see. Woo! So that was the master volume was down. Let me back this down a little bit so I can get the amp wide open. Yeah. Do I find Yeon 65 amps on YouTube? No, just my name. There is a 65 amps YouTube channel, and I'm going to stream on that as well. I have to do some, you know, that channel was registered to Dan at 65amps.com, and my previous business partners have decided to keep my domain, which is a whole nother discussion. That will soon be taken. Hey, Lauren. Chat on YouTube. Yes, you're here. Good to see you. Hey, this is working. It looks like StreamYard's working, and the sound is not phasing out and getting poopy. So anyway, this is a little whiskey. I mean, it's not a little whiskey. This is the whiskey. We're out of little whiskeys. Those sold really fast. This does have a master volume that works really well on the dirty side. The clean side does not have a master. So what you can do is play really loud and clean and then still get really great dirt at low volume. We did this mainly because a lot of our pro customers were saying, especially in Nashville, that the chorus of the song was, the verse of the song was the dirty part. And then the chorus was the loud and clean part. Hey, how you doing, Mac? Good to see you, buddy. Looks like StreamYard is working. This is great. So, anyway, it's an unregulated clean sound. There's no master on it. So you can play loud and clean and then get a dirty sound at whatever volume you want. So a lot of guys just want to play dirt quiet, right? So this has a really good master volume on it. Like I'll turn it down to about 5 here. Let me turn it down really low. This is on 2. So back all the way up. And there's little voice caps here. Can take some treble out or put different kinds of treble in it. Not real crazy sounding here, but and again, this is my Les Paul Standard with Ron Ellis pickups in it. And the pickups are really low output. I think the bridge pickup's like 6.8, maybe 7 at the most. I can't remember. And the neck pickup's like 6.4. It's really low, which I think sounds better through a high gain amp. It's less forgiving. You know, one of the great things about high gain amps is they can sort of be termed, depending on how much gain there is, amps for guys that suck, because they're forgiving. You can get away with murder. That's not as true with low output pickups. So this amp has a lot of gain on the dirty channel, but it's not over the top. Thank you, Harry Jones. Hey, nice to see you, man. That's a nice surprise. Friend of mine from childhood. How are you, Harry? I hope your family and everything are just fantastic. I see your Facebook posts once in a while. It looks like you're doing great. I would love to see you again sometime and get caught up 40 years later. Anyway, you were always a gentleman and a hell of a nice guy to me, so I'd love to see you. Hope you're doing well. Keith Taylor, good to see you too, buddy. Phil, so this is working over on the tube, all right? I am not using Logic or Pro Tools, Phil. I am just going straight in with my SSL 12 interface. I can show it to you. This little booger right there. Wait a minute, wrong way. See that little guy right there? SSL 12. And then I have the, as you can see, the UA aux right there with some guitars behind it. This is my office rig, which like most offices is probably could use a little tidying up. I'll cop to that. Anyway, yeah, it's a good sounding amp. I mean, I have fun with it. Retired and enjoying every minute. I hope to see you at our next high school reunion. Oh, man, that's cool. You're retired. Congratulations. That's really nice. So do you have grandchildren and you get to spend time with them and all that stuff? Yeah. This is the, you know those little tiny pianos you can get? What are they called? Schaeffers or Schimmels or whatever? Man, I haven't played Van Halen stuff in decades, but tidy schmighty, work's getting done. Yeah, you know, when I tried to use a DAW on these things, there was so much lag that it was like, you know, the voice wasn't synced up and my hands weren't synced up when I was playing. I have a feeling there's a lot of you that would rather just see that instead of my face. Like I can just sit here and go. There is some definitely Van Halen reminiscent tones. I am never the guy who's going to say this amp will make you sound like somebody else. It won't. You're going to sound like you playing through it. But the idea of the name Whiskey. Hey, Peter Donkers. How are you, buddy? Nice to see you again. Oh, man, StreamYard is working. This is good. So far, so good. And the sound has not dropped out, you guys, like it did on Facebook and on YouTube. That's quite a... There's a lot of features on this too. Hey, Trig, how are you, bud? Yeah, you thought you heard some electric guitar all the way in Norway. Right on. No grandchildren, a few nieces and nephews. Right on, Harry. Man, it's what a nice surprise. I'm glad to see you. Love to see you in person sometime and catch up. Lifetime of stories to tell, I'm sure. I'm on Facebook or on a notebook, and it's fine. All right, thanks, Randy. It seems like StreamYard is the key. It's kind of expensive, so I was hoping it would work. Miss the amp talks. Well, we're talking amps today. I got a whiskey here. And, man, there's so much going on in the world. There's a lot to talk about. I hesitate to talk about politics, but woo, everything changed here. Yeah, I just won't get into it. We don't need to do that. But things are very different now. Yeah, I like it. Anyway, what's going on in the world of 65 amps? Mike and I have been working on a prototype. We have the Frankenstein chassis that we're building. I just have to get a power transformer, and it looks like the way I'm going to have to order them is going to take me about 6 weeks. I'm having a hard time getting any traction with the domestic transformer makers. So, sounds like my recent hard drive adventure. Yeah. Mac Baker, Dan, does your band still play out live? I remember some great videos. We haven't in a while. What happened was COVID. So, Dina Carter was one of the 2 singers we had. She moved back to Florida to be with her family during COVID, which was fine. And then she got married to this really nice guy named Jim, who's a good guitar player. And he's playing in her band, and she's touring all over the South and killing it. She's doing great. And then other dude in the band, Matt Logg. If you remember Matt Logg, our drummer, he's the drummer for AC/DC now. Okay, Harry. Good to see you too, man. Nice surprise. Thank you for dropping by. Sincerely, thank you. That's great. Bring back the Village Idiots. Yeah, so Matt Logg, our drummer, you remember Matt, he's now the drummer for AC/DC. So, that doesn't hurt. Oh, I don't want to play with the Valley Village Idiots. I want to play with AC/DC. What an asshole, right? Yeah, Matt's the new drummer for AC/DC. I'm not kidding. Like, he's the dude. Hey, Doug. Douglas Robert. How are you, buddy? Yeah, Peter. Politics is... I find politics to be very amusing right now because I am a registered independent. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. Mainly because I have a degree in political science. So once you look behind the curtains, you know for sure it's not what it looks like. I'll put it that way. It's like when you work in Vegas. You're not going to play the slots because you know how they work. So these pickups are not shielded, so they make a little noise with all these lights on here. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lights on here in the room, trying to make it bright. Yeah, so the other guy, Kirk Helly, who's the other guitar player, if you remember, Kirk had quite the hairdo. He kind of looked like Rick Rubin, still does. He, during COVID, was just locked in his studio doing all kinds of work. Um, and I'm good, Doug. Thank you. Good to see you, buddy. He was working his ass off, and then Chrissy Guerrero, the other singer that we had, has been doing plays like musicals. She's been in Texas and Colorado and Tennessee, I think. She does them all over California. Um, it's a good day to hear amps. Oh, thanks, man. I'll play some more here in a minute. You got to tolerate my ham-fisted rock and roll guitar playing. So Chrissy's working her butt off. She's a popular stage singer now. Even though you guys remember, she used to sing like Robert Plant. I mean, she's crazy. So between her and Dina, we had some serious singers. And one of my sincerest pleasures ever playing music was to have those two sing background vocals behind me. What an honor, huh? And my God, when they're singing backgrounds behind me, I almost sound like I can sing. You know, it's pretty cool. So that's what's going on with the Village Idiots. I would love to get them back together again. Brian Mendes, our other drummer that we switched back and forth. You guys know Brian Mendes, right? He moved back to Austin to take care of his family. His dad was ill. I think he's fine now. But Brian moved back to Austin to take care of his pops. And while he was there, he fell in love and got married. So I don't see Brian. I talked to him on the phone, and we did some tracks during COVID where I flew in the stuff to him. It's my daughter singing and stuff. I can play those for you. I don't know if I can play them on here or not. I think I can on StreamYard. I won't try it this week, but yeah. So let's see. Yeah. Anyway, that's the long answer. The Village Idiots are kind of apart right now. Maybe we need a reunion tour. Yeah, you think so? I think so. Anyway, you guys get the idea. So let's see. I'm going to try to keep it short today because I know I tend to ramble and just drag on. And a lot of you guys are like, Jesus Christ, can you just get to the point? Anyway, the point is, Mike and I are starting to build prototype amps, and we are raising money for the R&D. The way we're doing it is selling some 65 chassis that we had access to from my old licensee. Mike bought them himself, actually. And so, for those of you who don't remember years ago when I made the whiskey, when we came up with the idea for the whiskey, it's the club, the whiskey on Sunset Boulevard was the reference. And even though they spell it KY instead of KEY, I had to change it to KEY for copyright reasons. Amazing. Let's go. Right on. Sounds nice. Oh, thanks. So I used to play for a living in the 80s, and I moved out here in 1986 from Columbia, Missouri, to play rock and roll and to go to Musicians Institute. So I was in a couple of bands. We used to play on the Strip, not the A-level clubs, the B-level clubs, or we would be early in the night on the better clubs. But I played at the old Central, which is now the Viper Room. Will the new amp be named 65 again, Peter? Yes, they will. Yep, absolutely. I still own 65. I still own all the intellectual property. So 65 amps, the name of all the amps, all that stuff is actually registered to me, not to the company, but to me personally. So that's my intellectual property. Anyway, so I used to play on Sunset Strip, and back then there was kind of two kinds of amps that everybody was using. The people that could afford new amps were buying JCM 800s. Not my favorite. I bought one, didn't like it. I went back to my old, I had a 50 watt non-master that you guys have seen before on the show. Still have it. And then a 100 watter. But what was really popular then were mods. And there were 2 or 3 guys that did all the mods on amps. And that was the sound of the Sunset Strip. So a lot of those records you see where people were claiming to be using a JCM 800, in fact, they were not. They were probably using a master volume Marshall. Will the whiskey be high current, low voltage? This one is not. Later ones will be. And yes, that means you'll be able to get this sound at really pleasant volumes. You can also try other tubes like 7591s or KT77s or KT66s, which also sound killer in this circuit. Right now, these are 6L6s here. So anyway, most of what you heard, the better sounding records from the 80s and the late 70s, you know, that everybody's still trying to emulate, those are for the most part non-master Marshalls or master volume, Mark II master volumes. Before, these are all amps made before the JCM 800. So there's Jose Arredondo, what's his face, who has an amp company now. Paul Rivera was doing mods. There's another guy I'm blanking on now. And then right when I was moving out of LA to go to Atlanta to play music, there was a new guy who was working out of his apartment in Santa Monica. His name was Reinhold Bogner. And he used to mod amps as well. Why am I blanking on the other guy's name? There's Jose. They're pretty simple mods. They just made Marshalls come alive. There's a couple guys right now, that's their entire business. They're just doing Jose modded Marshalls. And even though maybe you don't know that. That's a good way to do it. What's the tone on the clean channel like? Oh, sure. Let me flip over here. It's pretty mellow. Excuse me. Oh, my goodness. Gesundheit. So I have the clean channel cranked right now. Let me turn it down a little bit. I like that for a rhythm sound. Lee Jackson. Thank you, Lee Turner. Lee Jackson. Thank you. Bless your heart. Nice to see you, buddy. I'm glad you're here. Yeah, I need more than that. I think something might be wrong with the tube here on this channel, but... So, you know, kind of just Rob Price loves his little whiskey. Thank you, Rob. That's really cool. Anyway, so yeah, that's the clean channel. You can really tell these pickups are low output. Reinhold is a very eccentric, cool dude, Mac. You are correct. Yeah. Do a little more dirt on that, just a little hair around it. It's a good rhythm sound like that. I mean, I love that. If you had a higher output guitar, it would sound Voxish. Yeah, a little bit. The circuit on the clean side of this is exactly like the clean sound on Little Elvis. It's that same circuit we learned from Derek Underdown, the old box engineer guy. So it's a great, you know. I'm an 80s guy, man. I still love those dumb riffs. Peter Donker says, I still play the London. It will never go, but I do have an AC-15 from my other... Oh, yeah, AC-15 is a great amp. They do feel like brothers. Looking forward to new 65s. Thank you, Peter. Me too. But yeah. Now, if you had some echo and reverb on here... You know, I can never. Could you clarify what Ventura Channel Bumped is based on? Many thanks. Sure, Lauren. So the Ventura, very different circuit than this. It's just it's the color channel off the London. It's an EF86 all by itself. Because it's going into 6v6s, it does not break up as easy as it does into EL84s. But it's just that EF86 with literally a plate resistor and an RC network off the cathode, you know, cathode cap at the bottom with a resistor, and a grid beater. And it's a pentode. Works great. This is not the black original whiskey one. This is the same cabinet that's like on Little Elvis. Let's see. Get a good look at it there. This is my office. I'm sorry for the mess. I have a towel there to cover all my guitars. So it's a Little Elvis kind of cabinet. And then Lee, a little chorus and some eyeliner, and it's a whole nother era. Yeah, that's a good idea. I put on a little makeup. You know, nothing says rock and roll than like a 60-year-old dude with makeup on. You know? Yeah, thanks. Matt, it sounds good with that Jenny Jenny. I love that song. You know, there's all those guilty pleasure songs from the early 80s before the strip metal happened that I think are great. Who can sing that? You were still 58. My wife's on here. Hi, Wendy. Wendy says, I'm 58 for a couple more weeks. I'll be 60 next summer. Yeah, eyeliner's okay. Okay, so next week, eyeliner. Can anybody sing that high anymore? Driving home this evening. Should have all worked out. So Brian Alvarez, so let's see, would you say that the Dirty Channel was voiced like a hot rodded JCM 800? No, it's more like a hot rodded Mark II master volume. So JCM 800s are a little different. Some of them actually just had a diode to create distortion in them. This is not that. It's close though. The JCM 800, if you hot rodded a Mark II master volume, like, you know, from 75 to 81 or 82, whenever they're still making those, it sound kind of like a JCM 800. Let's see. Mac Baker says, Dan, the lower wound PAF humbuckers really come to life when you throw some extra gain on them. Yeah. Yeah, Ben, you're hip with Brian Adams. I really like underwound PAFs, you know, all those 59 Les Pauls that everybody goes crazy over for $400,000. Their pickups are usually under 7K. Rick Hoffman says, I have a London and it's sweet amp. 212 with Celestian Blues. Great. Great to hear you're releasing a new amp. Yeah, it's going to be a little while. Honestly, we have to sell some amps to pay for the funding. So anybody want a good deal on a whiskey, why don't you message me? If I say a price here on there, the algorithm will figure out that I'm selling something and try to charge you tax. So message me on Facebook, or my email address is my private email address is danboul@me.com. DANBOUL. At me, as in you and me.com. And we'll talk. I guarantee it's a good price. But yeah, there's 2 guitar parts on that song. So we used to play it in my band, my high school band. Hola, Dan. Hola, Bob. Interested in the whiskey? You have Lawler Imperials. A very similar pickup to what's in here. Lawler Imperials are great. Jason's also like serious dude. He and Ron Ellis are my two favorite pickup guys. And I know there's a million great guys. I'm not dissing anybody. I'm just saying from my personal experience, Ron and Jason have been excellent. So, yeah, these are very similar to the Lawler Imperials. I think these are Ron Ellis's LRPs, Leroy Parnells, or they're the Bettys. I don't know. He swapped them out for me all the time. I have a Strat. Oh, I should bring it. I have a Strat out in my living room that he made me some sort of bespoke pickups for, and holy crap, it sounds good. No mic but the aux. That's right. Sounds good over there. Good. Glad to hear it. Yeah, I'm in my house. You know, my office this is my home office, and I cannot crank amps here. My wife's working in her office in the back of the house. Right now, we're a little bit of an empty nester, but we had a daughter that just moved out a week ago. And she was working in her room. And then, well, let's see what happened here. Oh, yeah. So, anyway, Brian Alvarez, you are the working man's classic rock. Oh, that's nice, Mac. Thanks. I'm just kind of a ham-fisted rock and roller. You know, like, I am not a rocker. You know, there's a difference. Like, I'm your guy to sit around and go... You know. I need a capo for that song, but you get the idea. I mean, I literally just, when I started playing guitar, it's 1977, which is more than 5 years ago. My dad had somebody that needed to pay him and couldn't. So he called me at home and said, hey, do you want an electric guitar? I have a client that can't pay me, but he's offering me an electric guitar and an amp. And it was a 63 Les Paul Jr. And I was a custom tuck and roll 100-watt white sparkle amp. So all I wanted to learn how to do was go... Whoops. That's all I ever wanted to do with a guitar. One thing led to another. I put a band together in 7th grade. And all of a sudden, 9th grade girls started showing up. I don't need to explain the rest, do I? Hey, Lorenzo, nice to see you. Max says Jason's low wound humbuckers are similar to your Ron Ellis low wound. Yeah, they're very similar. Brian says, I actually own a whiskey and is the only amp I have kept out of a bunch of Fenders, 2 Marshalls, and even a Bray Coco. It does it all. I love the loop on it as well. I've also looked inside out of curiosity, and it looks like a piece of art. Oh, thank you, man. I've gigged with it almost every... Wow, send us pictures. Matt Pierce. Hey, what's happening, buddy? Nice to see you. The gang's back together. Thanks for making it, Phil. This one has a loop, Theo. This is an active loop. Yes to a reunion tour. No better reason to learn to play. Are you still dabbling with the use of Apollo with the guitar? Any tips on keeping the amp's tone without annoying the neighbors? Well, honestly, if you're worried about your neighbors, you know, I've spent 8 years in the digital world now. I got hired as a consultant at Line 6 in 2016. Digital's getting really good. You can see over here, I got a Roland amp over here that I did some work on. I consulted with them for a while as well. A Boss. It's called the Next Tone. Not my favorite name of a product, but man, it sounds good. Like, I totally gig with it. So if you need to play in your house without pissing anybody off, this aux box is fantastic. In my headphones, it sounds good. I mean, I feel like I'm playing a real speaker cabinet. Randy Kratz says, my little Elvis is still my Number one for getting the word. Oh man, that's so cool. Thank you guys. It really, since I've been out of the loop for a while, it's really refreshing to hear these comments. I'm not fishing for them. Don't get me wrong, but thank you. It's nice. I really like it. Let's go back to a little dirt. Ah! So for me, like the dirty stuff that I played when I was young, the dirties I would get would be Zeppelin or AC/DC or ZZ Top, things like that. There were bands in the 80s, especially where I really liked the guitar sound, even though I wasn't wild about the songs. I would buy the records just to hear, even though I'm playing it like shit. Man, I love the guitar sound on that. So I don't have the foot switch hooked up here. Otherwise, I would go back and forth between the dirty and clean. I didn't think to hook up a foot switch, and I'm honestly not the smartest guy in town. So Mac Baker says, I can honestly say that the little Elvis combo I had was one of my favorite amps out of the 30-plus boutique combos I've owned. Seriously. Well, thanks, Mac. Little Elvis is going to come back to life. That's one that we definitely will start making again. Anyway, if we go back over to clean, you can get that sort of... I told you that, I actually watched Billy Gibbons give instructions on how to play that song. I was backstage at the Greek Theater. I forgot who it was using one of my amps. And then my buddy from my old band, Johnny Colt, my band in Atlanta that went on to become the Black Crowes without me. Bless their hearts. Anyway, Johnny Colt was in town. We were back there hanging out. And Billy Gibbons and Slash... and I think James Hetfield were sitting around, and they were going to play LaGrange. And they were all trying to figure out the lick, and Billy was like, no, here's the key. It's the ring on your finger. So he would do it. And you can hear it on the record. There you go. If you can hear that or not. Anyway, that's my tip for the day. Clever. So Theo says, thanks, Universal Audio Aux Top Box. Yes. I just picked up a Tupelo yesterday. Oh, wow, great. Chasing down some weirdness with the trim. Well, message me. I'll help you with it. It's always a tube. Little Elvis is on the list someday. I would jump on one for certain. Yeah. Elvis is one of those ones. I think I could start a new business and all we make is little Elvis and I'd be okay. It's like Gibson could just make Les Pauls. Anyway, so this whiskey has some a little Elvis in it. The clean sound that you're listening to is Elvis, right? I just don't have it gained up that much. I mean, not just on the knobs, but in the circuit. So it's just a great clean sound. If you have a Strat or a Tele, it sounds great. And if you have a humbucker that's stronger than this, you get really nice. Lauren Reed says, my Elvis and Tupelo and stereo. Oh, yeah, that's a good rig. Peter did that for the when he played with Sarah McLachlan. He had a Tupelo and an Elvis in stereo, and it was nice. It was really good. So you can hear when I let off how it's very dynamic, right? I play pretty hard. I play with a heavy pick. This is a Dunlop Green 1 millimeter or whatever. Or no, 0.88. It's a heavy pick. I play with a very strong right hand. I tend to think, from my personal opinion, take it with a grain of salt, I think hitting the guitar makes it sound the best. There's an extra bit of tone you get by really actuating the strings versus going. Sounds fine, right? But if you give it a little bit of a hit, just authority, you know, and then it allows you to back off and get some. Randy Crest says, my little Elvis went through a house fire and Mike rebuilt it with your help. Yes, that's right. I am in deep. Oh, no, you're fine, Randy. Thank you. Man, you can just keep that one. That's good. You do so much good for so many people. I don't know if you know Randy Crest. He has an alter ego on the internet that I'm not supposed to say. But he's a good man doing good work. So the least we can do is help you with your guitar amp. It's fine. Thank you for saying that. I'm not taking it lightly. I'm not dismissing it. I'm just telling you it's all good. To me, that's a great rhythm sound. Like when you listen to most rock records, the guitars are just not that dirty. Especially when you listen to AC/DC stuff, it's not very dirty. I hear people play AC/DC with so much gain. You know, Malcolm, who's my favorite rhythm guitar player, maybe, him and Chuck Berry and Keith Richards, Malcolm was playing a Gretsch, you know, Filtertrons in it, you know, maybe 5K pickups or something. They're just not that dirty, you know. Get a little more dirt out of this, maybe. That's about it. No, that's about it. But yeah. So if I play it super dirty, it doesn't sound right, right? Dennis Pagan, hey, looking good, brother. So are you, man. What's happening with your Beatles band and everything? AC/DC is so clean compared to how people play it. You are absolutely right, Bart. Now, if I play AC/DC with this much dirt, it sounds stupid. If I roll my guitar back to 5, it's close. Pull the guitar back up. So, lots of dirt. Lots of dirt. Maybe a little bit less dirt. I'm going to take the dirty channel and back it down to like 5, right? Man, that's a good sound. That's a good rhythm sound right there. And then you can just add a booster or whatever you want over the top of it. Let's see. A little more mid-range into it. A little less treble. Oh, let's see. More mid-range here. Ooh, a little thin. All right, so that's master presence. Let's turn that down. Oh, my Gibson's going out of tune. Imagine such a thing. Gibsons don't go out of tune, do they? Hear the ring? I can't mimic the licks off the record, but that's sort of a Billy Gibbons vibe. Yeah, it does. Jim Benavidez says, sounds like Joe Walsh's Rocky Mountain Way, right? So I've just got the gain turned down on the dirty channel here. If I could play slide, it'd be great. Sing it, Jim. Spent the last year. Anyway. Alan Glashon. Hey, Alan, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. Malcolm and Angus did not use any effects pedals at all. I'm agreeing with your cleaner than people think comment. Thank you. Yeah, no, I saw them. I saw them. Just wasn't that dirty. Like 100 watt Marshalls are not dirty amps, unless you just crank them all the fucking way. They're just not dirty. Those records aren't dirty. Go back and listen to them with a critical ear. Even on YouTube, you can pull out their guitar parts, you know, where people have taken the stems and just printed those. You can hear they're not dirty at all. Some of what you hear is like an LA2A compressor distorting a little bit on the master bus of the recording, but it's not the guitar amps. Peter Donkers says, thanks for dropping by, Alan. Good to see you, man. I hope you're well. I will play Telly for always, but lately I play a hollow body and a 59 Lawler P90. Nice. Really wide dynamics and with the London, no pedals needed. Yeah. Jason makes a great P90 too, doesn't he? And I know it's true. Tell you Gibson's, man. Who said that? But you can tell with these lower wind pickups, you hear some string in there, right? You know. So, Mac Banker said it's the mid-range voicing. Yeah, thanks. I like mid-range. It's also great when you're on stage. You know, all of my guitar playing time was spent performing for the most part. I don't sit around the house and play through an amp. I hardly ever have. In now over 46 years of playing guitar. I started a band in 7th grade, and we had band practice every day after school. Maybe we committed some sins. I don't know. Dennis says, we're playing around, man. Got a Beatles symphonic experience going on. So Dennis is in a Beatles band out of Puerto Rico that's really good. Experience going to the island on October. Nice. I got to say, I miss doing some dirty in-your-face live guitar work. Been playing a lot of bass. He is Paul in the Beatles band. And they're really good. They've been traveling all over the world playing. It's really good. Anyway, so we're getting close to the end of an hour. I'm going to... did anyone from the Eagles ever use a 65? Yes. Stuart Smith used a London combo, or London Head and 212, for a few tours. And then Don Felder bought a few amps from us, but he didn't use them with the Eagles. He used them on a solo act. So Stuart Smith is the guy that replaced Don Felder. He played a London for years with them. But that was going back to like 2004, 2005. But yeah, it works good for Eagle stuff. You know, a lot of the Eagle stuff are little Tweed Deluxes cranked up, Tweed Princetons. So a London will do that sound. I mean, you can put a good mic on it, and and get a good, cool thing. I can't really play like Joe Walsh. I wish I could. Maybe I'd still be in the music business if I did. I used to even know that. Doesn't work with the dirty. Anyway, let's go back to full on crank here for a minute. Randy says, I messaged you. Okay, cool. Yeah, man, we'll talk. I think I owe you a phone call too. I apologize. A little busy. A little bit crazy life. But yeah, we're almost getting to 1 o'clock. So what I'd like to do is let you guys take over the show. I'm sitting here just barfing out stuff. And, hey, is that Chris or is it Julie? Good to see you. One of my cousins is here. Chris and Julie Wilhelmy. One of my favorite parts of my family, too. Such lovely, lovely people. Yeah, I want you guys to take over the show. Julie, what's happening? Man, that's a lot of dirt. Let me back it down here. For old people, you recognize Aerosmith. When can you tell more about the prototype? Soon. I'm applying for some intellectual property, so I just want to make sure it's safe. So once again, this amp is for sale, and it is funding our R&D. So if you want to hook a brother up, the thing that's funny about these amps, I'm going to go ahead and turn it off now. The thing that's funny about these amps is, the world has changed so much since we were in full production. Let me set this guitar back on the rack. Anyway, see you, friends. Old man, take a look at my back. It's a lot like yours. Oh, that's a bad joke, isn't it? Anyway, things have changed so much since we were in full production that I can't. If I make hand-wired amps like we used to, they're going to be expensive. And we're still going to make some of those because that's who we are. That's what we do. Like if you get captured by cannibals, they're going to eat you. That's what they do. Well, I got some good headphone hair, man. But in order to create a new business model, I'm not going to open a factory again. I've learned my lesson on that. And as you guys know, I had a lot of health issues derived from stress, and I don't want to go through that again. So, man, let me get this camera straightened out here. Sorry. So, greetings from Norway. Dr. Kelso, happy to see you back with the live show. Hopefully there'll be more. Yes, we're back on every Thursday. Dan, check out Blues Rock Guitars Arthur. I've seen him. He's amazing. Arthur Menzies, however you say it. He's blazing and making waves in the music industry. Good. Yeah, there's a lot of great players around right now. So what I need to do, I'm going to make some hand-wired amps. We're going to build some prototypes. With the prototypes, those will not be hand-wired amps. We might make a few, just to see if somebody wants to pay too much money for them, we'll do it. But we're going to make them printed circuit board, and I'm going to have them made by a contract manufacturer. That manufacturer is to be determined. We're talking to people here in the United States, some people in Mexico, and some people in China. China has come a long way, and the products are great. You know, like every cool amp that you buy now is made in China, even though they don't want to admit it. Even the big 100-watt Marshall E cloney things, I don't want to say the name because you know what I'm talking about. Yes, Peter, I'm going to do the circuit board with big wide tracks. Yeah, it'll. You know me, I'm neurotic, right? It's not going to be cheap. But so I found a transformer manufacturer overseas that does really good work. I mean, like shit, like really good work. So I think I can make a product that's approachable and will sound this good. I also have learned a lot since, you know, we did our license deal at the beginning of 2013. So I was kind of out of the design loop. I'm not out of the loop. That's not the right way to say it. I just wasn't designing amps for much of that. This is the last amp we worked on. And it's a derivative of Little Elvis. And then the dirty side is a Marshall that Dave Friedman helped us with. He's a Marshall guy. Also, I think he does the best master volumes around. So he helped with the master volume mostly on this circuit. Thank you, Dave. I think it sounds really good. So anyway, point being, it's 2024. It's not 2004 when we started. So the landscape has changed a lot. It has changed a lot. So I don't think anybody's interested in amps that cost $5,000. And, you know, amps that used to cost $3,000 a decade ago and all the stupid price gouging that's happened since COVID, they would cost $4,000 to $5,000 now to make hand-wired amps. I know there's a few people that will buy those, but that's not really a business. You can't really make a living doing that. So yeah, we'll make them. We'll sell probably 20 a year, you know, something like that. Just for the people who have the money or they want to buy it for posterity, which is fine. We love that. It's nice. But I can make a more approachable, affordable version of these. They won't be cheap. They're not going to be $900 amps. They're still going to be a couple grand, but they're going to be really good. And I'm biting my tongue because I want to tell you a lot of things that I just can't yet. I got to be careful. So trust me, it's going to be good, but it will be probably a couple of months before you hear anything here on the show. In the meantime, I'm going to keep selling amps every week on the show. So right now, just so you know, I have this whiskey here. I have an Empire also that I need to sell, and I have a Ventura head. All the money from these is going into R&D on the new stuff. So the more I can sell, the faster we can build things. And the less I have to reach out for money from other people, which I have a couple of friends that want to invest. I don't want to borrow any money, but they want to see a prototype and they want to see a business plan. You can launch on election day. Oh my God. Yeah, election day. Yeah, we'll always be sitting around here with a bulletproof vest on, hiding on election day. Unfortunately, I think there's going to be violence no matter who wins the election. So this country has changed, my friends. It has changed. And no one here is happy about it. Doesn't matter what side you're on. No one's happy about it. So the United States does always seem to autocorrect. So we'll see what happens. I don't want to go down the road of politics. It's all screwed up. Randy says, please be careful not to get into the stress traps that you are. Oh, yeah, thank you. We need someone thinking about how music amps. Oh, thanks, man. Change the world. That's really nice. Max says 1,600 to 2,500 is a great price point. I think that's realistic. They're not going to be much less than that, if at all. Build costs have just gone through the roof. Components have gone through the roof. I mean, tubes that I used to pay $6 for now $25 wholesale. I mean, it's not a normal inflationary scale. It's just crazy price gouging. Transformers with nice copper and steel in them are double what they were 10 years ago. Double. I used to pay a lot for my transformers back then. Wood. Oh my God. You heard about all the wood problems during COVID, right? And then the weather, the Russian winters have been warm. So they melt and it's muddy. It's so muddy that they can't get trucks back in to cut down trees. So we used to use Baltic birch on our cabinets. That has tripled in price. Tripled with a T, tripled. Even board level capacitors that I like used to be $2 are now $7. Like everything is crazy. Labor has gone up a little bit, but labor wasn't the biggest part of the problem with my amps. It was the components. Peter Donker says, I will look for 65 that's on the other side of my new London. Say max clean Fender type. What would it be? Producer or this amp? This has two 6L6s that does a big loud clean sound. And it's loud and clean. Ventura head. Yeah, Ventura would work great also. That matches really well with the London. The only problem is when you're running in stereo. So the Ventura, you're switching a tube in and out. So the phase of the amp is changing. So the London on both channels, it's a single gain stage on each channel. So and then you have the phase inverter. So you have two phase flips there. With the Ventura, if you just use the clean side and the phase inverter, you'll be in phase with the London. When you kick in the second tube, I have to make sure this is right. No, I think I'm okay because on the second tube, we're using both sides, both triodes in the tube. So you'll still be an even number. So yeah, you'll be okay. I take it all back. Cut, take two. It's been a long time since I made those amps. It's 22 years ago we designed the London. And then the Ventura was 15 years ago, something like that. 14 years ago. So pardon me for not remembering correctly. Ventura head. Yeah, Ventura head would be great. I have one right here. I played it last week. I'll play it again next week if you want. I just don't want to drag this out forever. I have it here. It's a great amp. It does everything. I love that amp. 6L6s. Very clean, very American sounding. Very much like a deluxe, only it's not a deluxe circuit, but it acts like one. They're almost eligible to be vintage amps. 3 more years. Yeah, there'll be 25-year-old Londons around. Dennis says, still in love with my Ventura. Oh, thank you, Dennis. Yeah, Ventura's a great amp, and it's small. Well, here, I have it right here. I can show you how little it is. That's it. This one's got a couple of nicks on it. It's used, but it's little. You can literally throw it in a backpack and take it with you to a gig. So if you're playing somewhere, you can just make sure there's a... oh, thanks, Mac. That's really nice, bud. If you're playing somewhere and you can just have a cabinet on stage, just bring your Ventura head and you're playing. Literally stick it in a backpack. I kind of designed it because I had a lot of customers in New York City and in London and in Oslo, Norway, who needed to bop around town doing studio work with a little head. And they didn't want to schlep some big heavy thing around. So you can literally throw that in a backpack and sit on the subway with it. Mac Banker says, Dan, your interest and willingness to connect with your customers like us is so awesome. Well, thanks, man. I think it's kind of awesome that you want to talk to me. So thank you. Thank you. That's the whole point of my show. That's why I've been switching platforms, is so that I could talk to you guys. I also now got to pay $99 a month for StreamYard. So can you guys buy some stuff from me? Or you can tip me, Dan Boul, at Venmo and PayPal. You can just tip if you like. I know people do that now. Good evening, old boy. Hey, Hoss Thompson. How are you, buddy? I'm just getting ready to sign off. Trying StreamYard today for the first time, and you missed the whiskey. But I'm just getting ready to quit. I hope things are good over there in England. Great time of year in Britain. Oh, man, I love the summers when I lived in England. Holy crap. Sun's up at 4 a.m. and stays up till 11:30. You can play some guitar and you can play some golf. Because in the summertime, I was all about going up north and playing golf. The home of golf. I'm a golfer, guys, but I'm not like a snob country club golfer, like that cocktails, mulligan. Hey, did you hear the one about that? Anyway, I hate that shit. I just like hitting the ball. And my kind of golf in Missouri was 3 guys with their shirts off and a 12-pack stuffed in their bag. It's really fun. Let's see. Brian Alvarez says, what about a tube power amp with a presence in bass for... that wouldn't be me designing that. There are people that do that. You know who really does a great version of stuff like that is Bruce Egnator. He'll make you one, and it sounds killer. And I think Stevie Fryette has one too. Anyway. Hosh says, I'm sorry, I've been watching That's fine, man. You'll watch the replay. It's just some nerd in LA talking. It's kind of silly. Radical Tone says, I guess I have to watch the replay and see the new whiskey. Yes. Sorry about that. I do need to sign off. I got stuff to do. I'm even going overtime right now. And I'm sorry to be rude. I can play it again next week. If no one buys it, it'll be here. But someone's going to buy it, right? You guys are going to do that. Good to see you too, Radical Tone. Are you from Mr. and Mrs. Tone's kid? I love the Tone family. I mean, I've been into Tone for decades. It's really cool. Sorry. Hey, my last name is Boul. I can make fun. Michael Lewis from Nashville. Hey, Michael. Hey, how you doing, man? Good to see you. I hope you're well. Yeah, been a while. When's the last time I saw you? Was that here in LA at the hotel? Over here in Studio City? Or am I mixing that up? Murray Tone is my favorite. Yeah, that's right. Mr. and Mrs. Tone. I'm Murray and Tone, and this is Sylvia Tone. Yeah, been using my London a ton this year. Oh, good. Excellent. Man, I'm really it's so nice to hear that people are still using these products. I got to admit, I was kind of out of touch, and intentionally so. Like when I got rebuilt, that was all from stress. And so it's live. Mike Bledsoe, what's up? Atlanta, checking in. Take care, buddy. I'll see you next Thursday. Cheers, Mac. Thanks for dropping by. One of the features I have here on StreamYard now is I can do a split screen with a guest. So I'm going to try to start having guests on. Of course, my buddy Peter is going to be charitable and come on. And we'll talk about amps and guitars, and you can ask him all sorts of questions about Sheryl Crow and, all this sort of stuff. So, anyway, yeah, it's just so nice to hear that people are using the amps. I had kind of intentionally checked out for a while. I was doing this consulting work at Line 6, and they're lovely people. Like Marcus Ryle, the founder, oh my God, I just want to be him when I grow up. It was a fantastic experience. Especially as some of you guys know, my license deal was not a fantastic experience. It was very stressful. The guys made the products really, really good. But that was kind of the end of it. There's a lot more to be doing. They licensed the entire brand, and it just wasn't a good fit. It's not that they did anything wrong. It just wasn't a good fit. We didn't mesh well. And, it was very stressful, very, very stressful. And, so I was enjoying the digital world for a long time. I, worked at Line 6 through 2022. And then, I started doing some work for Roland. I do some other work for other people that I am, NDA bound. I can't tell you who it is. But I'm doing nice consulting work. I do have free time though, like now, to do this. So I work for myself, and it's fine. It's really good. But I miss doing this. I miss doing this a lot. I do not want to run a factory again, but I love designing amps. I love working with Mike Franciscini. Any of you that have interacted with Mike, he's fun. Theo says, thanks for the great tips and discussion. Sent you an email. Okay, cool. Thank you, Theo. Yeah, I'll check it out today. I got a busy afternoon, so pardon me if I don't get right back to you. It's not because I'm ignoring you. Anyway, I miss doing this. I miss working with Mike. I have learned a lot about amps in my time off in the woods. Will the color boost pedal be back? I don't know. Haas says, you're working at Taco Bell, aren't you? No, it's McDonald's. It's McDonald's, dude. Shh, don't tell anybody. I don't know. The problem with making the color boost is finding good germanium transistors. It's really hard. There's just not that many left in the world. Mike Bledsoe says, I believe AI will become a game changer. You're right. In the future of modeling amps. Yeah, absolutely. So some of the stuff I want to do with the new version of the company is I learned a lot about digital working for Marcus Ryle. For those of you that know Marcus Ryle, you know that he's, I think, legitimately a genius. Only he's the opposite of Elon Musk genius. He's the nicest guy in the world. I mean, he's so nice. Literally, I walk away from Marcus every time I talk to him going, I learned how to be a nicer person. I want to be more like that. So I learned a lot about how to integrate things like this UA aux box is killer. I would like to integrate that into an amp and play IRs. And, you know, Tom Sarowski and I made killer IRs for a long time. They're still being in use by a lot of companies right now. When you're playing IRs, guess who actually made them? We sold a bunch of those. And I have literally like 350. So, and then, you know, Bluetoothing in to control the amp remotely from your phone or an iPad or whatever. It's all easy to do. So we want to point in that direction. I do not believe there's a binary choice between tube amps and digital. I think there's a middle ground where they overlap and you can have a lot of fun and make a tube amp useful. As good as modeling is, and trust me, it's freaking great now. It's so good, and it'll be better next year. It's still different than a tube amp. I'm not going to say better or worse because it's not better or worse. It's just different. It's really good though. Like you can have so much fun with a digital amp. Like this little Roland amp, or this Boss amp, Roland, but you know, Boss is the brand. The Next Tone, man, I have a freaking blast with this amp. It is so much fun. It's 50 watt amp. It sounds great. Does it sound like these tube amps? No. It sounds really freaking good though. I mean, really good. It kind of sounds like a great recording of a tube amp, which those of you that are familiar with vintage amps know that records are not a good illustration of what old amps sounded like. You're hearing that amp, you're hearing the mic, you're hearing the preamp, you're hearing the engineer, and then you're hearing the guy that mastered the record. All of these things change the sound of the guitar. So if you've ever been in the room with a 100 watt Marshall and a 412 cabinet, it is a stunning sound if you're not used to it. Most people, when I pull out my 100 watt and I play it, people just kind of start cussing. It's loud. And I bought a wireless to play mine. It took so much. I couldn't play it within 20 feet anymore. I mean, it's bright. It's so punchy and fast. But when you put a microphone in front of it and a Neve preamp and an LA2A compressor, and then an engineer like Tom Sarowski, who's amazing, man, it sounds good. Haas Thompson says, any plans to make the amp that carries itself and makes coffee? Asking for a friend. Right now, it just makes tea. Is that okay? But you're up north. It can make you some Yorkshire tea. Yeah, no coffee yet. Coffee requires beans. So we're working on that, though. It's a great suggestion. Amp and espresso machine. Yeah, it's a lot of electricity. And then there's the water and the tubes. You know, it's just kind of, there's a lot to work out. And I'm just saying, it might not be front burner for me. But yeah, we'll hook you up, Haas. We'll hook you up. Don't worry about it. All right, guys. I'm going to call 5-minute warning here. We've been on for a long time. Peter Donker says, I can't hear the difference in recording, but playing tubes live simply feels different. It does. That's right. More of an extension of your playing. That's right. Well, the one thing that, there's several things that are different. Again, I'm not going to say better or worse because I don't really believe that's being intellectually honest with you. Digital amps sound great. You know, even just like digital modelers, like Helix now is killer. Fractal is great. The Kemper sounds killer. They're nice. They're fun. Why not have fun with them? Marcus Derby, good to see you too, buddy. But the one thing for me personally, take it with a grain of salt, that I don't get from modelers is the interaction with my pickups. So even here, sitting here playing through headphones on the aux box, the speaker is not interacting with the pickups on the guitar. So you get some harmonics and some resonance and things that happen when the speaker is tickling your strings, and the sound waves are actuating the strings on the guitar. Digital stuff doesn't react the same way when you do that. It reacts fine. It sounds great. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. Randy Krath says, thanks, Dan. It's good to hear your voice. I don't have my glasses on, sorry. And opinions. My opinions are just as good as anybody else's. They're not any more valuable than anyone's, but thank you for that. I like the non-binary tube digital distinction. Yeah, I think that's a marketing myth that people are putting out right now to sell things. You do not need to choose. So there's tube amp people saying digital's bad and blah, 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 And then there's digital people that saying tube amps are arcane and, So the stuff we're going to do with electricity that I've hinted you guys will keep tubes relevant. You can put any piece of shit tube in these amps, they're going to sound great. And by piece of shit, I mean that in the modern, woke, nice way, not the old, vulgar way. So I can bring back tubes. And any old tube you have, maybe a tube that was even considered bad, will now work when you flood it with current and run it at low voltage. So it opens up a lot of possibilities, Plus the fact that nobody plays loud anymore. So, the whole market is big, fat, honking, powerful amps at bedroom volumes. Reminds me of George Carlin, homemade fresh goodness in a can. You can see logically that doesn't work, right? You're not going to get the sound of a huge amp in your bedroom. I hate to break it to you. But Hoss Thompson correctly says, couldn't agree more. Nothing sounds better than something flapping your jeans leg. Exactly. Feeling a 412 kick you in the rear end while you're playing is really good. And if you've never felt that, find a way to feel it, because it's good. I did it for 10 years. I had a Marshall kicking me in the backside all night long. And I can't tell you how that feels without cussing. I know you guys don't care about cuss words, but people watch this, so I'll be kind. Anyway, it's a great feeling, but it's just different. And you're not going to get that in your bedroom. You're not going to get that in the living room playing along with the television. You can get great sounds, though. You can get really good sounds. That's where digital, I think, really thrives. This amp right here behind me, this next tone, I can sit and play it. I should hook it up sometime. You can just hear it acoustically through my vocal mic here. It's great. But if you want to get on stage and you want to rock and roll with your buddies, it's different. It's kind of like the difference between, for example, when I was a kid, I had a 67 Mustang convertible that I hot rodded the shit out of. And I could just roast the tires, 4-speed TA radials going up in flames all the time. It made a hell of a great noise. Really, really fun car. Exciting car. Sexy car. Did not like to stop and did not like to turn. But in a straight line, hold on to your ass. Right? A Tesla is a way better car than that. But it's no fun. I don't know if you've driven a Tesla. My whole street is full of Teslas. And all my neighbors have electric cars. We don't. I like the sound of a motor. I like analog gauges. They're just different, but I know that a Tesla is a better car than my 67 Mustang. It will outrun it. It will outbrake it. It's way more comfortable. It has a better air conditioner. It has a better stereo. It will turn. It will turn on a dime. 67 Mustang doesn't do that. But man, it's fun. I mean, put the top down, fire that thing up, and then go romping on it. chirping the tires in between first and second and third and holding on. It's really fun. That's kind of like playing my old 50-watt Marshall. They're both great. There's nothing wrong with either one of them. And to sit there and go, well, this is better and that's worse, or blah, 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 blah. You know, that's just not, that's marketing. I'm going to cuss. All right. That's marketing horse shit. Somebody is trying to fool you. It doesn't need to be that way. Sorry, I'm ranting. Dennis said they've rained the parade on the fun of the amp moving air behind you on stage. Lots of productions don't want amps on. Yeah, I know. Or they want them ridiculously low because the mic bleed and that gets you into digital direct. And I have a Kemper floor and it sounds great, but you know. Yeah, absolutely. Especially my Nashville customers, like all those guys that were using 65s, 15 years ago. Silent stages now. You heard me correctly. Silent stages. Digital amp modelers. Drummer is surrounded by plexiglass. They're all on in-ears. The stage volumes are 70 decibels. It makes it really easy for the singer. And now there's no bands, right? It's just singers. That's all there are, singers. There's no bands anymore. Kind of sucks. Haas Thompson says, this is like the movie Aliens. It's silly, but goddamn, it's a great ride. And you can, yeah, that's right. It really is. I mean, it's just, there's nothing wrong. I used to have a 66 GTO. Same thing, man. That thing would throw you back in the seat, and it made a hell of a roar. I mean, oh my God. My dog knew I was coming home when I was 2 blocks away. I mean, just so much fun. Just literally too much fun. But it didn't like to stop, and it didn't like to turn, and the air conditioning was okay, and the radio sucked, and the seats weren't nearly as comfortable as modern, all that stuff. Mike Bledsoe says, so glad you're, oh, thanks, man. So glad you're doing the live broadcast again. Dan, your musical knowledge is appreciated. Oh, cheers, buddy. Well, yours as well. I'd love to get you back on. We'll talk. Hope to hear what's coming up in the future from product manufacturers. Well, thanks. Yeah, man. So it's a questionable thing to get back into making amps. You might question my sanity. I had a good thing going. It was great. The recession was really freaking challenging. I mean, stupid. My whole business model was based on banking, and banks went away. Whoops. So, and there were like 5 people that wanted to buy the company, and because of COVID and other things, they all kind of went soft. So one of the things I'd like to do is get this up and running and then hand it over to someone who can take it and blow it up, make it huge. I would still like to be involved with that. In an executive position, it'd be great. But there's big companies that have resources and they can do way better than I can. A Radical Tone says, I go direct with our trio, but when we're using a real drummer and a big stage, it's really nice to have a real amp on stage. Yeah, you're right. Michael Lewis in Nashville. Pedal amps are the thing now. Yeah. Oh no. Nashville's always on the cutting edge of technology like that because Nashville is so much about live performance versus the records, but it's also efficiency. Like hanging out with guys on a Nashville tour is so different than hanging out with a rock band from LA. It's just the culture, the way it runs. The Nashville tours are really professional and, they're on schedule and the tour manager is a drill sergeant and it works. At the same time, they're Nashville guys, so they're kind of relaxed and chill. When you go out on tour, I get to hang out with a lot of customers. I'm not trying to name drop or anything, but see you later, Lorenzo. Take care. I get to hang out, sometimes ride on the bus and, do a little bit of gigging action with some bands. LA rock bands, very different scene, very different. And I think you know what I'm talking about. I don't know. You go. Dennis Pagan says, another thing I don't know about you guys, but I haven't heard any in-ears that can reproduce the sound of your gear. Oh, wow. It's a sad thing. Yeah, in-ears are tough. It's very hard to be accurate with those. Hoss Thompson, I'm 100% biased, but nobody makes an amp better on a technical and auditory level than you. Oh, wow. Thank you, man. That's really kind. Thank you. There's a lot of guys making good amps, but love you for it. Cheers. Boutique seems kind of soulless now, rehashes. Yeah. Mainstream market is just more poorly, with shit parts. There's some of that, and I could get into why that is, and I know who you're talking about, and there's sometimes a difference between having a labor of love and trying to pay the bills. And so I don't blame guys for making mainstream products that sell. Amps for guys that suck. Most guitar players suck. I don't mean to be rude. It's okay. Most people play guitar as a hobby. And so having a forgiving amp is nice. It's like, I like a car with cruise control and power steering and power brakes. I am not Mario Andretti, So I don't need a car like that. But when it comes to guitar playing, I am kind of like that. I like the things that people like about our amps are also the things that people don't like about them, which is that they're very accurate and they're very robust in what they can reproduce. For guys that don't play that great, it means it's going to get all your clinkers and fret noise and poorly struck chords. All those things are going to come out very clearly, whereas a super gainy amp will cover that up, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not dinging it. I'm just calling a spade a spade. So there's a lot of people that need and want gear like that. So it's a good business to do that. It's all right. The only amps I still own are the Tupelo and the 63. Oh, wow. Yeah, you got that trapezoid head AC30, don't you? Is that right? I feel like they are on par with each other tonally. Oh, wow. Build-wise, yours wins hands down. Haha. Yeah. Well, in the 60s, they weren't planning on building amps to last. They thought they were toys. Different thing. I talked to Derek Underdown, the guy from Vox, about this. He goes, we never thought anybody would be playing these things. We didn't even know if electric guitar was going to be a thing in 5 years. Little did he know what was going to happen. When those boys from Liverpool went out playing electric guitar, every young guy in the civilized world went out and started playing electric guitar for a long time. It became popular, but they really didn't know that. And that's why they sold, Vox sold in 64. By 65, the Royston Group owned them. And it's because they could not keep up. They had no idea how big it was going to be. That's a nice problem to have, but they did sell out. All right, guys, I'm going to call it. It's been an hour and a half. Oh, my God. Can I not shut up? Holy shitsky. Anyway, really nice to see you. It looks like StreamYard is working. From what I understand from you guys, the sound quality is good. The picture quality is good. Thank you, Michael. Thanks for jumping in. Mike Bledsoe, I'm so glad you made it. Great tone. All right, thank you. Yeah. Some people here I'm really glad to see. Michael Lewis, Mike Bledsoe, Hoss Thompson, Dennis Pagan. Oh, my God. It's like old home week here. This is really great. Lorenzo, Mac Baker. I mean, this is great. Thank you guys for showing up. I'll do it next week. And let me know in the meantime what you want to talk about. Brian Alvarez, great to see you again. Good to see you too, Brian. Thank you so much for dropping in. I appreciate the thoughtful comments. I'd love to talk about amps. I'd love to get in the weeds if you guys want to. We can talk about guitar playing. We can talk about the music business. We can even talk about golf. You can see my driver sticking up over there behind me, right there. Again, I'm not a golf snob. I just like hitting things. Raymond Colby, thanks for the update. Have a great week. You too, buddy. Thanks for dropping in. Yeah, I just like to hit stuff. So if you guys want to talk about golf, I thought I'd do a show like, Seinfeld's comedians in cars getting coffee. I thought it'd be musicians in golf carts drinking beer. That sound like fun? I think it'd be fun. Anyway, seriously, gotta go. I got work to do. I got appointments to get to. I love you guys. And I mean that. Thank you so much for coming by. What's up, Reverend Rack and Roller Rolf Randy Creeth? Yeah. Reverend Rock and Roll Randy Kreith. Yeah. Or Randy Krath, excuse me. Yeah, Randy is the rock and roll pastor. Dude's a great singer and guitar player. You should check out the music on his Facebook page. Anyway, I do got to go. I could talk to you all day long. Man, I got some headphone hair, my friends. Anyway, love you guys. Mean it. I'll see you next week. In the meantime, I got 3 amps here for sale. They're going to help Mike and I move forward. So your help would be most humbly appreciated. Anyway, love you guys. Cheers. Talk to you soon. Take care.